hope you all are doing fine. In today's class, we are going to learn about the block diagram of computer systems. It is very easy and simple topic you will understand very quickly. So I'll try to share the screen and make you understand. Okay, I hope it is visible. Yeah, right. So this is the PPT which I have created for the block diagram of computer. But why are we learning this? What is the necessity behind it? That is because with technology rapidly increasing, the computers have now become the part of our daily life, isn't it? Every day, starting with the phone, for every task we are. Okay, just a minute. Okay, it will just go off. Okay. For every task in our daily life, we are relying on the computers. But what is going behind that? So let's learn. It performs a basic operations like watching a high level movie and like manufacturing a car, and the computers are doing all. But we will learn what is just going behind it. Let us look into the basic diagram of the computer. And the block diagram of computer shows the main parts and how it works together. Okay, let's start learning. And this is an email which I have provided here. If you have any queries, if you want to talk about something, if you want me to make a video particular on certain topic, then I'll be happy to do that. Feel free to email me. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Okay, before starting the diagram, I wanted to ask you a small question. Like, we have here devices. Can you identify the components, any components? Why particularly we are calling them as input devices? Why particularly we calling them as output devices? So there is a reason to that. So input devices are considered as the keyboard. Okay, the keyboard, the scanner, joystick, mouse, light pen, webcam, and microphone. That is because these are all like giving inputs to the system. Keyboard is whenever we're typing, we are giving input to the system. But what happens? Output is displayed in the form of a monitor. So we get the output in the monitor. It is displayed on the screen. Next. So these are like the input devices. Mouse is the input devices. Light pen because we write something. Webcam because it sees everything it watches. So it takes some input, right? Next one, the microphone, because we speak. It is an example like how I'm doing right now. I'm speaking. It is taking input. When I'm uploading the video, you will see the output in the screen, right? Now joystick for playing, and scanner as well. So next, coming to the output devices, we have monitor, printer, speaker, and headphones and projector. These are all considered as an output devices. Why am I telling you this? This is because in the block diagram we have these components which are involved. Okay, so first one is input. You learned about what input is, we learned about what output is. Whenever I'm teaching some concept, I always begin with the easy concept. Okay, so input and output, you have already learned it. I'll come back to it again. So in this it involves again a CPU. Have you ever learned about the CPU? I'll get back to that again. So in CPU again we have the control unit, arithmetic logic unit, and memory unit. Okay, this is entirely the block diagram of a computer. Okay, so in previous diagram I've shown what input devices and output devices. It is the same thing which I've mentioned here. So input devices are nothing but devices like keyboard, mouse, and sends data to the computer. And the examples are more to it. So that's scanner, microphone, webcam, touchscreen, joystick, barcode reader, and light pen as well. Okay, so now next one is coming to the output unit. So devices like a monitor, printer, display, or produce results. Okay, so example to the output unit are monitor, printer, speaker, headphones, projector, and plotter. Okay, let's go to another topic. Okay, so why am I teaching now CPU? We have finished with the input, we have finished with the output. Let's learn about what CPU is and what all other categories are involved in CPU. Okay, let's learn that. So next, I'm coming back to CPU. So this is okay. So this is the diagram of CPU. This is how it is represented. CPU stands for the central processing unit, and it is a primary component of the computer that performs most of the processing and the control functions. Okay, CPU. Can you see here the chip? So this is called as a CPU. Okay. So it manages and processes and control all the function. It is also called as a brain of the computer, and it is responsible for executing instructions and manipulating data. Next, so this is how the CPU chip actually looks like. Okay, so CPU process unit, a central process unit or CPU, is the brain of the computer, like I said. Okay, so what it will do is it will take instructions, whatever input you're giving to the computer, it will process it and it will give us the output. We have seen the devices of the output, right? You will get output in those devices. And can you see this picture here? CPU, it is holding a blank paper, because whatever instructions you are giving to the computer, it will just process and it will give back our output. Let's say if I say in the computer 2 plus 3, what happens? You will get the answer as 5. But what is happening inside the computer is CPU is taking instruction, our arithmetic expression, that is 2 plus 3. It is processing and it is giving back our output. Okay, so that is why it is blank. It will all sort, segregate and organize the instruction in a particular way and give back our output. And it works with the same way the brain works. As a computer, as the brain control all the human activities, similarly computer controls all the tasks. Moreover, CPU conducts all the arithmetic and logic operations in the computer. So I'll tell you what arithmetic and logic operations. Okay, so now in CPU, it comprises again in 3 units, that is arithmetic logic unit, CU, that is control unit, and the memory unit. We'll go one by one. Okay, so I've told you what arithmetic and logic operation. This comes again in the arithmetic logic unit. So that is the reason I did not explain you prior. So arithmetic logic unit is made up of 2 terms, that is arithmetic and logic. Okay, as the name suggests. Okay, there are 2 primary factors or functions that this unit performs. Okay, the first one is performs the basic arithmetic operation like addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. Okay, these are simple. Now it performs all sorts of calculation required on the data. Then it sends back data to the storage. Okay, so in computers, like I've said, there are 3 things: arithmetic logic unit, control unit, and the memory unit. So memory unit is where everything, all the information gets stored. So what happens? It performs some sort of calculation required on the data. If you're giving some expression, what it will do, it will make it will perform that operation and then it sends the results to the storage. That is what it is mentioned here. Next, the unit is also responsible for performing logic operator and or not, equal to, less than, greater than, equal to. These are all comes under the logic operation, and comparison operator also comes under this. Okay, in addition to this, it conducts merging, sorting, selection of the given data. Okay, next one, we're going to learn about the control unit. Control unit is a name suggests, it is controlled. It is a controller of all the activity, task and operation. All this performed inside the computer. Yes, it is performed inside the computers. And what control unit will do? It will do, as the name suggests, it is a controller of all the activity and tasks. Next, the memory unit. The memory unit, this comes in the next layer, that is memory unit sends a set of instructions to the control unit. Okay, I'll show you, wait a minute. So can you see this control unit? So this memory unit is no, it will send the data to the control unit. What this control unit will do, it will send back to the memory unit. Okay, and it also sends to the arithmetic unit. I suggest you to learn this diagram and look into the concept. You will get it, you'll understand it more clearly. Okay, so after the instruction is converted to the control signals, okay, these control signals helps in prioritizing and scheduling the activity. Okay, so if you have opened like 2 or more pages in your computer, what just happens, so the page you're working on gets done faster. So if you are keeping other application in minimizing format, what just happen, it just stops there. But what control unit will do, it will prioritize what you're working on. So that is what control unit is, and coordinates the task inside the computer in sync with the input and output units. Okay, next one is the memory unit. This is the final one. So all data has to be processed or has to be processed is stored in the memory unit. Okay, so whichever data you are giving, it has to be stored. Only if it is stored, it can be manipulated, it can be operated. So then only you will get the output. So what happens, everything is been processed, is stored in the memory unit. So the memory unit acts as a hub of all the data. It transmits it to the required part of the computer whenever it is necessary. So what happens, all the information which you are giving to the computer, it is been stored. So what happens, when you want particular data from the computer which you have already stored, you can retrieve it. What retrieve it, if it is stored, if you want to use those information again or data again, so it is already stored in the computer, you can use it easily. Next one, the memory unit works in sync with the CPU. Okay, this helps in faster accessing and processing of the data, thus making tasks easier and quicker. Okay, so again in memory unit we have two kinds, that is the primary memory and secondary memory. This is very important. Okay, the primary memory, this type of memory cannot store vast amount of data. So if you give a large amount of data, it will not be stored there. Therefore, it is only used to store the recent data. Okay, recent data is like will be very less, right? If you want to store large data, you cannot store here in the primary memory. So the recent data only it will be stored, and also it is called as the temporary memory or the main memory. So this is the important point. Okay, RAM stands for random access memory. It is an example of the primary memory. This memory is directly accessed by CPU. Okay, it is used for reading and writing purposes for data to be processed. It has to be first transferred to the ROM and then to the CPU. Okay, so this thing is happened internally inside the computer. Okay, CPU. So in CPU again we have three things, that is ALU, control unit and memory unit. So whatever data you are giving it, first in primary memory, RAM only, it will happen. Only after operation happens within the RAM, it will pass it to the computer. It will not directly go to the computer. Okay, the next one is secondary memory. As explained above, the primary memory stores temporary data. Okay, thus it cannot be accessed in the future. For permanent storage purpose, secondary memory is used. Okay, so like I've told you before, the primary memory stores only temporary data. Let's say if you are working on it and if there is a power cut down suddenly, so what happens, all the information which you are working on will be vanished. So that is a disadvantage there. Okay, so that is the reason we call the primary memory stores only the temporary data. Okay, thus it cannot be accessed in the future. For permanent storage we use secondary memory. So why do we use it? Because it stores our data. It stores large amount of data, and this secondary memory is also called as the permanent memory or auxiliary memory. This is important again. So the hard disk is an example of the secondary memory. Even if the power failure, data does not get erased easily. Okay. So this is for the today's class. Look, if you have any queries or if you want me to make particular video on certain topic, you're always welcome to mail me to codeuse81@gmail.com and I'll be happy to do that. Have a great day. Thank you.